Today I'm going to be a bit of a reaction Andy. I don't really like reaction content, but I feel like now's the time. Because while I was researching coconut oil yesterday, I came across something that truly blew my mind. I guess it shouldn't have, but it did. And that thing is the content Bug Angel has been making for the past couple of months. This video is about 2 hours long, so I'll be hotboxing for 2 hours straight. Most likely even longer, because I'm gonna pause a lot, maybe. Hopefully I'm also gonna skip a lot. Yeah, that's fun. So let's just jump right into it, right?
Let me just say this to you. I have actual lived experience. Do you?
Yes.
So you can be a trans ally, you can think you're doing the best thing in the world, but are you actually listening to an actual, real, older transsexual person? Because that's what you need to do.
I'm not that old, but I think I'm older. I'm old-ish. I'm older than her. Are you listening to myself? Yeah. I'm even listening to you, actually.
I do not want somebody to transition. Anyone who needs to transition like me, they need to do that. It is 100% real. This is real. Gender dysphoria is real. And I do know you believe that too. We're not in odds with that. I think what we also are not in odds with is that I believe that children don't know who they are at 10 years old. So, and I know from my own experience.
So crazy to me to think, that you have this experience. As you say, you transitioned what most would consider nowadays quite late in your 30s or approaching 30, right? Which is crazy to think that that's late to transition.
The mean age at initiation of therapy for the entire cohort was 32.4 years, but was higher for MTF than for FDM. 35.5 and 26.6 respectively. So kind of a little higher than the average for trans man or FDM, but I mean not that late, I would say. This was only a snippet. I'm not gonna read the whole fucking study. I'm not here to do research. I just handed in 2 papers. I'm not doing research today, guys. I'm sorry. Oldest was 60 years, so you could have waited until now, Bug Angel. But I wish you're 30 is old enough. Maybe wait until 60. Maybe that's just to make really sure. Just to be really sure. The whole idea that I don't know where he gets that idea. He should know better. He really should. He probably has connections or some way to speak to some clinicians or whatever. He could do that, and they would probably tell him, yeah, 10-year-olds don't transition because they haven't hit puberty yet. That's how it works. Okay? But he didn't, and he doesn't. And that's...
It's basically anyone can say they're trans, and the difference is these people identify as trans. I don't identify as trans. I identify as a man.
I don't think this is a fair or honest point. All I can say is plenty of trans people say I identify as a man or I identify as a woman. Personally, I wouldn't. Why? I don't even really use that verbiage. Actually, for similar reasons that Mr. Angel. By the way, please refer to me as Dick Demon from now on. But Mr. Angel said something like, I live as a man, even though I don't know what that means. Don't ask me that, which, I relate to. And also the thing about I have a medical condition, stuff like that. But if it's a medical condition, it doesn't matter how you identify.
And it's almost like, why would you want to struggle that much. A lot of people, you know, and maybe this is somewhat unpopular, but you know, I've heard people say, like, if there was a cure for my gender dysphoria, I'd take it because I don't want to feel like this.
This is my cure. This is my actual cure.
It's kind of amazing to me. He really saved Coconut Girl there. Because what she was saying, I think, in my opinion, is that if I could solve my gender dysphoria without transitioning, I would do that. Or like, that's what real trans people say. And Bug says, no, actually transitioning is the cure. It's pretty great.
People think of me as a man because I participate in the world, if that makes sense. I participate with you, my friend. I don't just come in here and say, oh, you better see me as a man, though I look like you, right? So no, you, as transsexual people, we have to participate in the world. We can't just expect the world to lie down and just change every narrative there is out there so that some little kid feels comfortable with their pronouns.
Dude, I'm 8 minutes in. I'm not... But I don't get this. He says we can expect the world to lie down for us. But why do we have to lie down for them? That's the core of the issue here. And that's the core of the discrepancy between more radical trans people and more, I'm just going to say, conservative trans people. I don't mean conservative with a capital C, but as an adjective.
They're just saying, oh, I feel uncomfortable with my body, I must be trans. Or their friends, there's a lot of peer pressure.
You better be trans, bitch. If you don't identify as trans, I'm gonna fucking beat the shit out of you. That's totally happening in our elementary schools, for sure. Totally.
People have TVs, they have internet in every room of their house. They can't live without always hearing it or seeing it. They cannot detach from their phone. And kids are worse. I have a kid.
But I honestly think that it's so scary.
It's so scary. TV with fridge with internet access, so scary, so gross.
Especially when we're talking about transitioning kids.
Oh, okay, I shouldn't pause that much. It's scary when we talk about transitioning kids. Well, thank God nobody's talking about that except you guys. You are not talking about children in the medical sense. I thought you care about the medical field and you know, that was your thing. Children are not, you know what we legally sometimes refer to as children, aka minors, are not children in the medical sense. Once you hit puberty, you are, by definition, biologically speaking, no longer a child. You are now, what's that called in English? A pubent, like a puberty mutant. I don't know, what's the term? Adolescent. Adolescent, I should have, I kind of knew that, but it just it slipped my mind.
Our version of the lobotomy, and I honestly believe. I've also been called a trans medicalist because I think that
you're not even trans. Who called her a trans medicalist? That's cultural appropriation.
Because I think that gender dysphoria is a general mental condition.
I don't think it's a mental condition. Just to be very clear about that.
To be addressed so that person can be.
Oh, it is. Never mind. Sorry.
Do you understand how insulting that is to somebody like me, right? That they would even call me a trans medicalist. I transitioned before all you people out there. First off, you know what I mean? On some level, I helped to move this particular space forward for a reason. And so to have it's insulting beyond belief that young people would come in and think they could actually speak like that, not only to you, but to me, and to call me names and to make it as if I'm not important in this space, or that's why I'm standing up against it.
I'm so glad he actually said that, because I genuinely believe this is one of the pillars of how and why things turn out this way. He was insulted by a bunch of whippersnappers. That is why he's speaking out now. Because a bunch of young people said he was a trans medicalist. Or maybe even an asshole or a douchebag or something like that. That's why he's taking this grand stance. And if you fail to see how ridiculous and foolish that is, I don't know what to tell you.
And also because you're factually, because I'm factually based.
I'm sorry, I can't hear the word based anymore without laughing. It's the fact that I'm based, guys. Trust me.
I believe in facts. Facts are important. If we don't have facts, remember.
Me too. I also believe in facts, bro. You haven't given me any facts though. Give me the facts. I'm waiting.
I'll tell you this from an actual transsexual person.
Yeah.
They're gaslighting you. I'm sure you already know.
I feel like the only person being gaslit right now is me. I just had a bit of a meltdown yesterday about people using the word gaslight all the time to just as a synonym for somebody lying or some shit, and how it infuriates me, and now I get to enjoy it all over again. Epic. But how can we trust you though? Why should we believe you and not them? I mean, the only reason you've given me so far is that you're old. Old people can be wrong. In fact, they're wrong all the time.
Trans ideology. So those people over there have nothing to do. And that's why I'm trying to separate from that. And that's why I'm trying to be very outspoken and tell the world, no. Those people are doing something else. There are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people like me who just want to walk the world. You probably have people in your office that you would never know that transition. That's a real transsexual person who doesn't want to be part of this.
Don't speak about it. Don't be the guy with the pussy. Talking about your pussy. Making porn with your pussy out. Just hide it. Yeah, totally. That's what people should do. Why are you doing this, Buck? I don't get it. What's the game here? What's the motivation? Is it just the pettiness or the hurt that people were kind of cruel to you, or young people were kind of cruel to you? Is that really it? Is that why you're throwing all the young people under the bus in hopes it will stop before it reaches you? Because it will reach you, friend. It will. They don't care that you're a good tran. They don't care. They've explicitly said that they don't care about that. He really wants to distinguish himself from all the crazy transes. And not only himself, but other trans people who you would never know they're trans. But what he's essentially advocating for with that, which I'm genuinely not sure whether he realizes that. He's advocating for people to stay in the fucking closet. To get their fucking diagnosis, get on HRT, and never speak about it again. Because the way you know people are trans is by them telling you.
We talk about, a lot of people say we just wanna live our lives, and it's like, I see a big portion of people who do, because they go through the struggles, they go through the medical care, they go through all of these things, yep. They transition, and then they don't speak about it. They just, do you know what I mean? Like they live the normal life. They just want to be normal. They just want to be in the closet. They're not scared to get assaulted. The thing is, at least on Buck Angel's Wikipedia site, it says that he's bisexual. And up until an factually based trans man overturned that trans people had to be straight to transition. I don't think Buck Angel would have been able to transition without at least pretending to be straight.
The understanding and the idea of transness has changed all the time, and he's upset that the young'uns take what he achieved for the community for granted. And I actually do agree with that. I do agree that we take what we get to enjoy today, thanks to our brothers and sisters who fought the battle before us. We take it for granted, and that's a big mistake. Being unaware of queer history is a big mistake. But he does the same thing.
You're a transphobe, or you're a TERF, or you're not supporting trans people, or trans people are, you know, or there's a genocide. I take full, I'm offended by all of that language. How dare you? There's no genocide on trans people. What?
Are you aware of the anti-trans legislative onslaught, Mr. Angel? If you aren't, you should be. And if you are, why the fucking nitpicking, brother? we have other problems going on at the moment, don't we? I know that's hypocritical of me to say, considering I'm fucking watching this, instead of making the 2 videos about the thing that I said I was gonna make now. But why do you come on the show to complain about the stupid young people that call you douchebag or TERF or whatever, apparently, instead of talking about states outlawing people like you from using the men's restroom? Huh? That's what I want to know. Why? Why are you doing this? I just I just keep shouting why. Just pause every 5 seconds and scream, why?
You know, do you know, really understand what a genocide is? Go look at Armenia. Go look at the Jewish people. Those are genocides.
So what was done to Jewish people before they were put against the wall? What happened? What happened before that? Tell me. I've been studying history for honestly way too long, considering I'm still in my bachelor's program, but I've been studying history for a couple of years now. So you tell me what I apparently did not understand. In your infinite 60-year-old wisdom, please.
I mean, I hate to say it for my own community because I don't feel attached to that community anymore. They've gone off the rails and they're angry, they're mean. It's a militia. On some level, it's become a militia.
A militia? On some level, it's become a militia. Did people show up at your house with guns or some shit? Did I miss something? What do you mean a militia? Just log off, brother. Earlier you said they can't detach from the phone. Just detach from the phone, dude. It's fine. I promise it's fine. Just fucking live your life like you said.
And it's become terroristic? What?
It's become terroristic, guys. Holy shit.
What does that have any of that have to do with trans people?
I think that's quite a lot of...
Being militant has nothing to do with trans people. Nothing at all. Stonewall riots? Nope. No trans people there. Or it wasn't a riot. Or both. But that was different. Surely. Surely he's gonna explain why that was fine or good. Or maybe he doesn't even believe that, which would be sus.
The reason why I started having these conversations is because I felt crazy. I felt like this is a common sense thing, and yet everyone's looking at me like I'm the bad guy.
Are we the baddies? She said it, she said the thing.
You know.
That's always the actual argument I use. So why aren't we doing lobotomies anymore? People get so mad at me in the community. Well, Buck, they're two different. They are not two different things at all. They are very similar.
Yeah. How are lobotomies without consent and transitioning with consent very similar?
Because they figure, so yeah, the kid thing is, distressing.
Okay, yeah. That's a good explanation.
It's gross, it's wrong, and it's the reason why now people hate trans people more than ever. I've never felt more hated in my life, and that says a lot as 30 years of transition.
This, again, I'm so glad he said that. I'm only 20 minutes in. Fuck me. I'm so glad he said that, because I genuinely think this is probably, aside from being insulted by a bunch of whippersnappers, I think this is the other main motivation behind what he's doing. He thinks, because he's seen the nasty side of the trans community, which is like any other fucking community, being insulted, belittled because you did something that other people don't agree with, and shit. You know, it's standard stuff. He thinks that's why people now hate trans people more than ever. That's why. We're not being nice enough. That's why. How is being nice changing anything? You know, this is the lie that so many people like to sell, that if only this minority would be nicer, we wouldn't hate them this much. Well, people try being nice. People try being nice all the time and politely asking and begging, please, give me human rights, please. Did that work for the black slaves? Did it? Did it work for the people the queer community who was targeted by the state, who then rose up and rioted at Stonewall? Did being nice help those people? Did being not nice make it worse? I don't see any evidence for that.
I always said I'm a biological female who transitioned to live my life as a man. No, I mean, it's not really that complicated. And especially if you're honest, right? It's like I never said I was a man. I say I live as a man, right? I don't deny my biology, because why would I? That's the reason I transitioned. We are being stupid as trans people not to acknowledge our biology.
Trans people acknowledge their biology all the time. I go to the gynecologist and I fucking despise it. And I'm not the only one. We all do that, my guy. We all do. We all know. We know.
And we are being stupid to say trans women are women, because they're not. They're trans women. And when you do that, you're erasing the trans experience.
He said, when you just say trans women are just women and trans men are just men, what you're doing is erasing the trans experience, which I actually think is quite interesting. Well, I don't think that kind of the phrase trans women are women is used in the way he pretends it is used. I don't think anyone is saying there's no differences between trans and cis people. No, nobody's saying that. And that would actually be the erasure of the trans experience, right? I think people are just saying trans women are women in the sense of being a kind of woman. I do agree that we generally shouldn't be calling him. I mean, I've made a whole video about the trans medical true scum shit. It's the first video I made. So I honestly think I've said enough about that. But Mr. Angel, you're not just saying, hey, I'm part of this community, please treat me as an equal and not as an enemy. I don't understand why you demand more respect for you than you have for the people who should listen to you.
You can't speak on this. You can't speak on this because it's...
You've been speaking on this for 20 minutes straight, and I've been speaking on this for much, much longer than that, actually. You can't... Clearly, nobody's stopping you from speaking about this. Nobody.
I always thought here's the thing: you do these appeals, and you act, and you ask other people like me to give you things, to accommodate you, to do things like that, but yet you don't let us in on the conversations. Brilliant. So you only ever want stuff from
Brilliant.
Right, the wider
That's
population that isn't like you. But when they say, okay, can I ask you a question, you say, no, how dare
there you go.
So it's like, do you really expect people to then be accommodating and give you those things if they're not even allowed to
That's
ask
my point
questions?
right there.
It blows my mind that people feel so confident in themselves that it doesn't occur that they don't realize that what they're saying is basically, you need to beg me for the basic rights that I already have by virtue of not being part of the minority. It blows my fucking mind. And I honestly can't believe that Buck Angel, of all people, sits there with a smile on his face, agreeing happily to this. The man who at his time got backlash from peers because he decided against getting a phalloplasty, and talk about his P word. Now he's sitting there essentially telling me I got to be crass and outrageous and pushing boundaries. But you need to lie down. You need to stop doing that.
Why are the people who keep attacking me and you, who some of them aren't even trans people?
See, this is the thing he does. He says, the people who are attacking me and you, he's projecting what is happening or happened to him, and him, I mean, not being a transphobe, he's projecting that on other people who aren't even trans. He thinks that the reason they are attacked is the same reason he was attacked. I don't think that's the case. Sometimes, maybe, most of the time, probably not.
Factual, don't listen to everything I say. Go do some fact
I'm not going to. Thanks for the heads up.
checking. But I'll guarantee you, when you do fact checking on everything I say, you're going to find me to be right. Sarah's right. You're saying exactly that. Every time she wants to say something, she can't, because you're all saying, but what if she's saying is factual and you're shutting down her factual space?
I mean, that would be a crazy scenario. Thank God that's not happening.
I can't believe it's so evil to even say it, but like, if you were a pharmaceutical company, this is an amazing place to tap into. If I had absolutely no empathy for someone, if I was, you know, a rich old dude who just had so much money and was only interested in money, this is an incredible place to tap into, to push medicalization of children. You have a customer for the rest of their life.
I don't know, what's the market for insulin? No, I can't look for that, right? What's the whole insulin? Is there an insulin market cap? I'm not an economist, don't laugh. Fortune Business Insight says that the human insulin market was valued at $21 billion in 2018. Yeah, you know, 300 million, 21 billion. What's the difference? What's the fucking difference, dude? It's a genius plan. You know, it probably is a genius plan, but not because of trans people, because of all the fucking alpha dudes. It is a shame for men and people.
And then they have to be on medication. And you got them hooked. You know, if you have someone...
You got them hooked. It's fucking heroin, dude.
We call it top surgery because it was a very, very, very... You have to understand.
We call it top surgery because it's on the top of your body. At least that's what I always thought.
When we transition, it's very private. It's not something we told all over the world and we showed everything. We just didn't do that. We did it within our own space, right?
You showed your puss to thousands, maybe millions of people. What's private about that, dude? That's not what we call top surgery, though. Or is it because it's top secret? Is that why? Yeah, I'm nitpicking again. Who gives a shit? I'm half an hour. I'm one fourth through. I can do whatever I want, dude. It's a free country.
Basically, we were talking about how a lot of the time, if you are a woman who doesn't want to have any children and you want a hysterectomy, it's so difficult because as an adult woman, they will try and talk you out of it. And he said, I know someone who has like 3 kids and she couldn't get hysterectomy. And they almost joked about it being like, well, I just said I was trans and they didn't question anything. They just got it. So he said, well, maybe, you know, he was like, we even joked about it. And I was like, well, tell them that you're trans and they'll give you it, no questions asked.
She's based in the UK, so considering Abigail's video about how she mailed her doctor like fucking a bajillion times, I don't think that's true. But if it is true, yeah, just say you're trans. Just get the hysterectomy. Sister? What's the problem then? Then it's great that it worked out this way, isn't it? I mean, if the person wanted a hysterectomy and got it by saying she's trans, I feel like that's a win-win.
It's not only ridiculous, it's scary.
What's scary about it?
You watch, mark my words, Marcus, all of us who are outspoken about it, it's going to be tragic. You know,
it's scary because it's gonna be tragic. Okay. I guess that's true. That could be said about anything. Drinking Pepsi is very scary because it's gonna be tragic. What's gonna make? It's gonna be tragic, just trust me.
I do platform many of these detransitioners because we have to hear what they're saying in order to come back to a safe, you know, I've never looked back. I keep telling people 30 years, I would never even consider detransitioning. Why are this younger generation considering it? Because they're not going through a safe system. They're being thrown hormones, surgery. Oh, do it. It's a party.
I had to suffer to get what I needed, so you should too. Why? Because I had to. And if I had to, and nobody else has to, then I suffered in vain. That's kind of, I feel like the angle. Yeah, I'm just using an article from Gender GP, which I'm sure they're gonna say is lying too, but whatever. I said I'm not gonna do research today, and I'm not going to do research today. Anti-gender movements funding from Russia. I talked about that in my last video, wink wink. One detransition study claims an 80% desistance rate in trans children. However, when the study was scrutinized, it was discovered that the methodology was deeply flawed. The study in question did not differentiate between the following: young people with gender dysphoria, young people who socially but not medically transitioned, young people who are simply exploring gender diversity. In fact, nearly half of the children involved in the study could not be located at its conclusion. Yeah, they just, they didn't desist, they ceased to exist. Yeah. In the US, a survey of nearly 28,000 people found that 8% of respondents reported some kind of detransition. Of this 8%, 62% only did so temporarily due to social, financial, or family pressures. About 5% said gender transition was not right for them. Among people who actually did detransition. The biggest reasons were 36% is pressure from parents, difficulty of transitioning 33%, harassment and discrimination 31%, employment issues 29%, family pressure 26%, relationship pressure 18%, peer pressure 17%, and then pressure from a mental health professional to detransition 5%. That is the facts. Maybe, I didn't look at the study. I'm not gonna say maybe, fuck you. I'm just gonna say it is the fact, because apparently, just fact check, you will find it's true. It is possible that it's going to be tragic. And the rate of detransitioning or transition regret might increase in the future. That's a potential. I don't know the future, neither do these people. And the reason is not only because they regret the changes to their bodies, but transitioning is hard. I mean, Buck Angel knows that, I know that, we all know that. It's not easy. It's not easy being based. Just because a medical procedure sometimes fails or something is misdiagnosed, that's nothing special. Or it's unfortunate, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. It's part of everyday medical practice. It really is. So to me, there's just nothing really noteworthy about the stats. But I do have empathy and solidarity with people who detransition for whatever reason. But I don't understand why we stand here and go like, yep, the choice was wrong for me, so nobody should be able to make that choice. That's the thing. And the thing is also, you know, it's often talked about how, but the people are too young to make the decisions. But we make life-altering decisions when we are too young to do that all the time. People can get pregnant with 13. And yeah, I don't think 13-year-olds should get children, but they can do that. We don't force abort every child a 13-year-old has in their womb, because that's ridiculous. This is exactly the problem, the double standard. The double fucking standard. And I'm actually, for minors, I am in favor of psychological evaluations, but that's actually why I'm strongly in favor of puberty blockers, right? For every negative example of a trans experience, there's always at least one positive one. Why do the bad ones matter more than the positive ones? You say the positive ones shouldn't make it so we ignore all the bad ones, but the opposite, that doesn't make the opposite true either.
They're not doing any kind of psych evaluations on them. They're not.
Yes, they are.
Looking to see, you know, they might have, you know, anxiety. They might have autism. Now, autism is trans.
Autism is trans, guys. You heard it here first. Okay, let me ask you a question, if I may. What if someone's autistic and trans? Do they have to stop being autistic before they can transition? Because that's gonna be a problem. Maybe just more people are diagnosed with autism. I don't know. What's the fucking autism prevalence statistic? Autism prevalence has increased 178% since 2000. Maybe that has something to do with it, if that's true. You transitioned 30 years ago. You don't know the insights of transitioning today. How would you? Tell me, please.
People are going to think, oh my God, like, how dare you speak on this? People are going to, you know, go in real life. Like, people are going to, you know, and there was a lot of this kind of like back and forth in my head, because it's almost like, I feel like this is the right thing to do. And I don't want to be on the side of history that transitions toddlers, whether that be socially, and then puts them on the path of medical transition.
I don't want to be on the side of history that transitions toddlers. Me neither. That would be wild. What are we transitioning them into, though? Bug Angel is kind of, he kind of reminds me of the dude, you know, the lie detector dude who's just like, that's right. He's kind of doing the same thing. I love it for him.
But you see what they did? They didn't want us to speak out. And they called us transphobic and TERFs, and so that we would be too scared. They got you. They got you. They totally got you, but they can't get me because I'm trans. And I'm an old trans, right? I have some status in this, and that's why the trans community doesn't necessarily like me like I care, right? I don't care, but you know, they don't like me because I speak a different language. than they do.
Yeah.
That's true. They do not like you because you speak a different language. I do agree with that. And I don't think before all this, I don't think that was always super fair or nice. But what you're doing now is not just unfair and not nice, it's actually very dangerous.
What's crazy to me is that, again, like, I'm still young, I haven't got my career figured out, I'm not a fully grown adult, I could never take care of a kid now, you know?
Yeah, you couldn't take care of a kid now with 25. Okay, do you need to get a psych evaluation to prove that though? Do you need a psych evaluation to prove the contrary? That's the point. That's the point that trans people are trying to make, you fucking doofuses. Because the thing for trans people, usually, or the trans community, or trans rights activists, whatever the fuck, okay? The thing that they or we or whatever see as a problem is that trans people are held to this standard when cis people are not. That is the thing. That is the problem.
You can pause an entire pituitary gland in your brain. You think you can just pause it and nothing's gonna happen?
We do think that. It's in a little thing, in the medication, and your doctor hopefully told you about it. Mine did. But when Buck Angel was an experiment and a guinea pig, and didn't know what they did, and he was like in this fucking chaotic, messy state for 15 years, that was fine. It was different, you see? It was fine.
When, like, just using common sense, when I take painkillers, I have a thing about this big, say, with like side effects and things that can happen. Painkillers have a huge range of...
If you take painkillers once, will that change you for the rest of your life? Apparently she knows something that nobody else does. Because I was an impression if I take a ibuprofen now, it's gonna be out of my system in a couple of hours. Like, I don't know, 1 day or some shit.
Even,
That's
you know,
right.
the hormonal pill, the contraception pill for women.
she said the quiet part out loud. Oh no. Did you get a psych evaluation before you got the contraceptive pill? How can you be sure you can take that? Sorry, I put new fabric on the chair and now it's squeaky as fuck. I was on a contraceptive pill. You know what I did? I went to my GP. 5 minutes, got the fucking paper slip filled out. Pharmacy, boom, got my estrogen. No problem. No questions asked. But trans women can't do that. That's the thing. Why can cis people just get that shit when trans people have to fucking...
Back, do a loop-de-loop, pick her up, put her down, wrong spot, switch characters, switch robots, insert disc 2.
That's the problem that people have. The problem isn't really that medication is gate-kept and safe-kept. The problem is the double standard. Because why does it exist? Why?
Well, no, because you see what they did? They got the AMA, the American Medical Association. They got the American Pediatrics Association. They got WPATH. They got like all these medical associations on stamp of approval. So that's how stupid people are here. I'm going to say in America. We have stupid people here who just blindly follow stuff without doing any kind of due diligence. You have Google, people.
All these medical associations say that me and her are wrong. But that can't be true. That can't possibly be true, guys.
People just think for some reason the American Medical Association is God, right?
I don't think they're God, but they've given me more evidence than you so far.
They're just organizations of medical professionals with their own opinions. That's all it is. It's opinions.
It's all just opinions, guys. What I say is a fact. But all the other people, that's just opinions. Trust me. Source, dude, trust me. Not even source, nothing. Yeah. Fucking factually based, my guys.
These children that are really feeling it the most now, they're young, they're, you know, the years old, probably.
Probably. I'm not gonna check though. That's probably true. I feel like it is.
I'm gonna say it. Gross trans community.
Yeah, the trans community is pretty gross. Because I'm in it. With them.
You know, you started off saying, I want people to transition, and I want people to transition too. I just want to make sure that there's proper assessment in place before we actually put them through things that you can't come back from.
No.
What is the proper assessment? That's the problem. What is it?
There is no way that it's completely reversible.
No.
If you decided to detransition out, do you think you would ever be back to where you started?
Look at me.
You probably wouldn't.
I don't understand this idea that it's reversible. We've proven to you that it's not.
People are saying puberty blockers are reversible, not cross-sex hormones.
No such thing as wrong puberty, people. Puberty is human. Across.
He's really giving me the There's no such thing as the wrong body. A body is a body and it's yours. For somebody who's so upset at the trans community...
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
Whatever. Who gives a shit? I'm tired at this point.
Every single human being goes through puberty.
Yeah, we know. I did, you did. We did twice, actually. The more the better.
I don't have hardly any of the health problems a lot of other 60-year-old biological people have. So for
You heard it here first, folks. Go through puberty twice, and you're gonna be Gucci. I thought we want to discourage transitioning, not encourage it, Buck.
You know, we're talking about pausing human development, and I would have thought that for hundreds of years of, you know, modern medicine getting to where it is now, we would have learned that people interfering with natural development probably isn't going to work out well, you know?
Cancer is a natural development. Yeah, just let the peasants die, who cares?
Hey, why don't...
That's right.
If we said to someone, hey, why don't we, you know, just pause development of one of your limbs as the rest of you grows?
Pause the development of one limb? How would you do that? That's interesting.
We can I don't think anyone...
We can reverse that. Just let that... Oh, man. I love that for us. I didn't know we could do that.
the whole point of puberty blockers is so you won't have those it's only for characteristics. Remember this. It's only so you won't have male or female characteristics. So then I started to say, but wait a minute. If it's only for characteristics, what's going on with the brain and what's going on with the inner workings? That's when I started to I'm like, what? They're giving Lupron?
Yeah. Puberty blockers block sex hormones. How did you think it worked?
These are facts. Orgasms.
Puberty. I have to expedite this shit. I'm getting tired. My throat starts to hurt. This is just Wikipedia. A review published in Child and Adolescent Mental Health found that puberty blockers are associated with such positive outcomes as decreased suicidality in adulthood, wish you were me, improved affect and psychological functioning, and improved social life. A 2020 survey published in Pediatrics found that puberty blockers are associated with better mental health outcomes and lower odds of lifetime suicidal ideation. 2022 study published in a Journal of the American Medical Association found a 60% reduction in moderate and severe depression and a 73% reduction in suicidality among transgender youth aged 13 to 20 who took puberty blockers and gender-affirming hormones over a 12-month follow-up. A 2022 study published in The Lancet involving 720 transgender adolescents who took puberty blockers and hormones found that 98% continued to use hormones at a follow-up appointment. The longest follow-up study followed a transgender man who began taking puberty blockers at age 13 in 1988. Curious. Before later taking hormone treatments, and later got gender confirmation surgery as an adult. His health was monitored for 22 years, and at age 35 in 2010 was well-functioning, in good physical health, with normal metabolic, endocrine, and bone mineral density levels. There were no clinical signs of a negative impact on brain development from taking puberty blockers. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, most medications work that way, right? For it to have a continued effect on your whole system, you have to take it continuously.
We don't have kids who are 20, 30 years on this stuff.
Nobody's supposed to be 20 or 30 years on puberty blockers. That's insane, dude. I hope you misspoke, because if you actually believe that, you need another psych evaluation, my guy.
Gonna see one thing. I don't want my period. I don't want boobs. I don't want any of that stuff. Nobody does.
Nobody does, huh?
Because if you think about what's going on in the trans community, it's mostly dominated by trans women, and trans women are biologically male. A lot of these trans women lived as men, and they got socialized male. So if you look at the movement that's happening right now, most of the majority of the voices and the anger are coming from the trans women who are leading this charge.
Yeah, they are leading the charge. They've led the charge at Stonewall. They are still leading the charge because of guys like you. Because of guys like you. And I say that as a fucking trans man apologist. I don't know how to call myself. As somebody who wants trans men to be more involved. That's what I want to say.
And making us believe that they're biological women.
Nobody's making you believe that trans women are biological women. Apparently, you don't believe that. Nobody's making you do that.
That's why they want. We're not here to do what those people are doing.
We are the good ones. Please pick me. Don't take my rights away. It's fine if you take their rights. Don't take mine. Please. Please. I'm a good one. Please. There's a certain point where he talks about the irreversible damage or the damage that we're doing to our bodies with transitioning, and says he had vaginal atrophy.
Then after 15 years of testosterone, I got what's called atrophy, vaginal atrophy, which nobody told me about because I was one of the first, actually the first public case of this. And then the doctors didn't even know what to do. I almost died because I got septic because it became an infection. And so that being said, a bunch of these young guys are getting the same thing I had, and they're not even being told by the doctor that you could become atrophied.
And that sounds very serious, right? That sounds like, oh shit, that's bad. Well, vaginal atrophy just means the pussy is dry. That's what it means. It means you don't get wet anymore, which is extremely common in menopausal women. And usually what is observed in menopausal women is inferred onto trans men, because in some way they are somewhat similar. What applies to menopausal women doesn't necessarily also apply to trans men. As an example, it is usually in your consent sheet, or you are informed about the fact that there might be a greater risk for uterus or ovarian cancer if you are put on testosterone, or if you decide to go on testosterone. This is based on the fact that menopausal women are more likely to develop these cancers. But menopausal women are also old, and we know that cancer risk increases with age, right? So we don't actually know how and why these cancers become more common after menopause, whether it is because menopausal women are older, or whether it's because they are secreting less estrogen. We don't know that, and we also don't know whether it's also only a reduced level of sex hormones, or whether it's really the reduced estrogen that's the problem. We don't really know that, and it would be nice to know that. I would like to know that, but we don't. So okay, Bug Angel's pussy was dry. Is dry? I don't know. I mean, my condolences to you, brother, but he claims that made him septic. You don't get septic from a dry pussy. Dry pussy is what it is. It is what it sounds like. It's a dry pussy. And that can suck, but there needs to be being septic, becoming septic, means a bacterial infection got into your bloodstream. Okay, there needs to be more links in the chain to arrive from dry puss to becoming septic. And what I assume happened, because that's more likely to happen with a dry puss, is that he got a vaginal injury, which became infected, and it became septic because it was left untreated for some reason. Because I do believe him that happened to him, but it's not like the dry puss and septic is like, bam, the pussy is dry, so you're getting septic. If that would be the case, Ben Shapiro's wife would be fucking dead.
And so, you know, these are stories that don't get heard out there. And how can a child make the choice to have atrophy? They can't.
It doesn't matter whether a child can make that choice to, quote, get atrophied, because 50% are gonna get it anyway. And I think really the motivation here is to greatly overstate how great of a struggle he had, or all these negative effects of transitioning. And there are negative effects. If I could have been cis, I would have done that. That would have been a lot easier. But the younger trans movement isn't really trying, in my eyes, to say or portray it as being trans is fucking rad, it's fucking awesome, it's so great, it's so much better than being cis. No, it's kind of like a radical positivity. Like, there's nothing wrong with being trans, you should still love your body, and that's ironically exactly what Bug Angel tried to bring across in his career, right? That he's a man with a pussy and he's proud of that. Why is it so wrong that young people now follow in the tracks that you set out? Isn't that what you wanted? You know, he talks a lot about how we need to hear out older queer people. And I was very fortunate that a couple of years ago I actually did get to meet an older gay activist and icon, frankly, from this region. He was born in 1948, and one of the things I remember quite clearly him saying to me, because it baffled me at the time, was that one of his regrets was that we made the young people so afraid of AIDS. And he said something along the lines of, it wasn't as bad, we overreacted, something like that. And at that time, it honestly baffled me. I was speechless. Because clearly, as a man of his age, he must have known people who died of AIDS. He was HIV positive himself. And him saying that just didn't make sense to me, because it's clearly such a horrible illness to have. AIDS, at least. But I saw a video from James Somerton is his name, I believe. Yeah, James Somerton. About the impact of the AIDS epidemic on the queer community as a whole. And I don't agree with the whole thing or whatever, but you should watch it, you should check it out. You probably already have. And that was the first time in my life, I think I realized as a young queer, that what impact the AIDS epidemic truly had, still has, to this day. And I think the reason for that isn't even that so many beloved brothers and sisters and family died these horrible, cruel deaths. I think the thing was that everybody was just looking on and did nothing, which is especially true for the United States, but to some extent I think it's true for most places. So for the first time in decades, maybe the first time since the Third Reich, the queer community was truly powerless. They had fought for recognition, they had fought for the legalization of gay relationships radically and meanly, right? And they achieved what they set out to achieve in this radical, meany way. But with AIDS, even if you toil, even if you scream, even if you smash in windows, that's not going to stop your friends, family, and lovers from dying. It was the first time in decades that queer people really had to plead for their lives, because there was nothing else they could do. Nothing. And I think that has changed the queer community since then, significantly so. I think it gave room to this attitude of we should just be nice. We shouldn't be so loud. We shouldn't be so uppity. We need to plead for our rights. We need to beg not to be oppressed instead of fighting for it. And ultimately, I think that is what this lovely elderly queer meant when he said that to me. And I regret that it's only now that I truly, or at least believe to understand what he said that day. Because I wish, you know, if I had realized sooner, I could have asked him about it. But he's gone. He's gone now. And there's so many other things I would have loved to talk to him about. Now that I'm older and less of a little brat, you know. And he was actually one of the fewer elderly gay men that wasn't a dickhead about me being trans or trans people in general. And I do think it's because he was such a radical person and so unapologetically queer, as we all should be. So what I'm trying to say with all of this is, in my eyes, Buck Angel grew up in a time that was knee-deep in this depression and melancholy from the AIDS epidemic, where everybody bowed their heads and kind of had to bow their heads. And that's where we have been the past decades until now. Until now. Because Buck Angel has to know that you don't fight battles by being nice. He wasn't nice about the things he did, about the things he pushed. He didn't ask, please accept me being a man with a pussy. So why do we have to? Why do we need to bow down Why are you asking us to do that? I don't think we should negotiate with our oppressors, because what we're asking isn't much. It's the basic rights that everybody should already have. I do think we should treat Bug Angel nicer. Honestly, I do, even though I say we accomplish nothing by being nice. He's still a trans person. He's a fellow trans person. He deserves our empathy and solidarity, no matter what he says or does. I mean, maybe not no matter, but and I think he also deserves to be listened to. But that doesn't mean that we just nod our heads and go, yeah, that's right, you're totally right, Mr. Angel, yep, we're gonna do it how you think it's right, yep. We should hear all voices. But all means all. I think Ilya honestly summed up this conversation really well.
That's right. Buck Angel, can you speak up and say, are you talking about gay conversion therapy? Am I getting that right? It seems like Buck Angel doesn't care about anybody but himself. Trans people, if you haven't been transitioned for 30 years at least, kick rocks. Gay people, that's right. Whatever Young Dumb Honeybun says about you guys, whatever Sarah L, the unpopular opinion with Sarah X.Sarah.L says about you guys, that's right. Do you want it with the pointer finger or do you want it with the thumb? Which one's more comfortable for you? Which one would you like to get fingered with? That's right.
And honestly, my biggest disappointment is Buck Angel being such a yes man. Claiming that people are forced transition just so they aren't gay in some countries. I mean, dude, where is that country? Tell me, please. All of this kind of did spiral into more of a call out, which I didn't want to do, but I'm just the cynical petty bitch. I can't help it. I got diagnosed with being a hater ass bitch. That's just how it is. It's a diagnosis, so it must be true. But my main thing is that even if you have gripes with the trans community, which of course is more an imaginary community than an actual community, right? We don't know all one another. If you have gripes with them, that's normal. You're an individual, you're a person, you're not going to agree with everything somebody else or a group of people says. That's life. That's how it is. There's things I disagree on with other trans people. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's called being a fucking adult. I'm not gonna fucking stab myself in the back, frankly, because somebody called me an asshole. But that's the thing, they believe they're the good ones. They believe they're going to be spared. They believe, because they are the good transes, the real transes, nothing's going to happen to them. Well, things are already happening. I see what's happening. And what's happening is that a bunch of non-trans people write legislation that outlaws or criminalizes transness. That's what's happening. That is what's happening. There's evidence that that's happening. And then to focus on the people in the community you don't like. Focus on aspects of the community you don't like. But at the same time, your rights are being taken away. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard or seen. That's fucking ridiculous. That's what's ridiculous. And I feel ridiculous that I made this video in the first place. You can talk about whatever you want. Clearly nobody's stopping you. Clearly. But think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Think about whether now is really the time to instead focus on the people that are taking your rights away, factually. Focus on the people who aren't doing that, but you blame them for that because they're too uppity. And if you're in a similar position and have realized that gays are hella annoying, which they are, and you kind of hate a lot of your peers, which is fine, we all do, don't become like this. Grow a fucking spine. And fight for what's right. Okay? I'd love that for us. That would be cool. Anyway, I don't fucking know. It's been an hour. I'm gonna put some coconut oil in my hair or whatever. Fuck me, I've been sitting here for forever. Jesus. I'm gonna have a gin tonic. Fuck it.